Not only is it fun to watch Keanu Reeves training for John Wick movies and him quick load with, I think he's holding 2 shells in his hand at a time, and he's just quick loading that shotgun. Not only is that fun to watch, and Dennis Collins and I are leading the advanced pistol defense men's retreat in Phoenix, Arizona at the beginning of March. There's, I believe, 1 spot out of 8 left for that. Make sure if trying to mute everybody here. CP, could you mute yourself? I can't mute you for some reason, buddy. Maybe you don't have audio or something. But not only is it fun to watch that training, but it reminds me of, we want to have the most advanced training possible for what's important to us in life. And what's important to you right this moment, that's why you're calling in right now, is you believe what I believe in, that you can learn the skills of confidence, seduction, fantastic, what David Data calls level 3 relationship, where you know how to bloom love in between the two of you. You know how to connect. You know what the hell she's talking about when she says that she can't feel your heart, or she wants to feel your soul, or she doesn't feel your energy, or she can read your mind. You know, you believe what I believe in, that you can learn how to be an advanced level seductor in your relationship, right? You want to have, like me, you want to have one woman in your life, but you want to know the skills of how to keep that hot. You know, you want to know how to turn her on. You want to make her pussy wet. That's why you're here. You're here for those advanced level things. And that's what I'm going to bring you today. That's what I promised. So welcome to our live tribe call, gentlemen. I'm happy that you're here. Yeah, you are, man, starting to rise in the world. I always play that music at the beginning of our daily The C-Note Show, which I do Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. Mountain Standard Time with Cynthia Kruse. She's my partner in crime, my fiance. She's been in this field for 20 years of men's work, and I have her on that show. I invite her on that show to give us feminine perspective. But this is man-to-man. I also do man-to-man stuff as well, and this is man-to-man. That's why you're here. So let's get this started. I'm going to do a little housekeeping for 20 seconds. If you are here, I am recording this, and if you do have your video on, which I love, I encourage you to keep your video on. You do agree to show your likeness within our private recordings, within the roundtable, Steve Forsman, Dan Dorr, within our private Facebook forums as well, within my forum, Great Men Move Mountains. Those are all private forums, right? So you do agree to have that on recording if your face is here and you're going to jump in and ask me questions later. And I do want you to ask me questions later. I'm going to throw a whole bunch of shit at you today. I decided just to fire hose the hell out of you today, because you guys are done with just the basic stuff, right? You're here. You've dedicated some of your Saturday or your Sunday morning, if you're in a different hemisphere, to be here. So you want to learn some advanced stuff. I'm going to throw that at you. And I want you to ask questions, because some of the best learning is done in your specific situations. I mean, I could just shoot stuff at you the entire 90 minutes, but that's not as fun for me, and that's not going to be as great learning for you or the men next to you, right? The best learning happens when you ask specific questions. So let's go ahead and get into it. I've got a little motivation here. I put together this fun little clip that I show every day in the C-Note Show too. Let's get this rolling. Here we go.
The following program is intended for a mature audience. Viewer discretion is advised.
This I've got to see. It's worth watching, so stay tuned.
But so I did some of the gunplay. I did the rah-rah. We're doing some Rocky, because that shit matters to us as men. It gets our biochemistry in the right place. If you don't have some kind of routine, if you don't have some kind of go-to or a totem where you breathe and think about what matters to you in life and bring that masculine power, that furnace within you. If you don't have that pilot light on, or if you don't stoke the furnace within you, you've got a problem as a man. I was just speaking with one of my clients yesterday. He's a dentist out of the Seattle, Washington area, actually, and successful in the place that he wants to be, easily attracts women, but he seeks validation. He's really practicing and learning, not doing this. He seeks validation from women in his life. He fills his life with external things, whether it's drink or taking more business classes or just more from outside of him. And we were talking yesterday about how the furnace, the fire within him and the furnace within his chest and his purpose and his soul and his heart is out, is dead. And if you don't have that within you, you're going to fail in relationship. You're not going to be able to maintain masculine polarity with your feminine partner if you don't have masculine fire within you. So not only is it fun to watch shooting stuff and Keanu Reeves and Rocky, these things are important for us. So if I am shooting things out that you're thinking, oh yeah, that's not a big deal, then you got to fucking check yourself, guys. I don't say anything for no reason. So if you're just, oh yeah, I don't need to do that, maybe talk with another man from the group, maybe get into one of our free calls, maybe check yourself, maybe write in your journal. And if you're not writing in a journal for 1 minute a day, that's something else that you need to be doing. Okay, these are important things. I'm starting with some basics here. All right, let's jump into it. So if you've got a question that you want to make sure that we get to today, I want you to go to participants section in Zoom, click participants, and then raise your hand. And that makes me know that you want to come in today. So at any point, I want you to do that. You can post questions into the chat. Let me come back here for a second. Toward the end, I am going to give you some links. I'm going to give you links to the free C-Note show. I'm going to give you links to those breath, awareness, and presence practices for free. You're going to log into my membership area for free, and you can get the C-Note show recordings, the breath practices recordings. So I am going to give you some links, of course, right, guys? If you want to talk about coaching, we can talk about that. I'm not going to belabor that today, but I'll give you links toward the end. So I'm here to bring you value. We started these live tribe calls when the pandemic hit. Most of it was because, you know, we as men couldn't get together with our guys here locally, and we know that men weren't going to be able to get out and connect with each other as easily, certainly, as they did in the past. So Steve Horstman, Dan Dor said, hey, let's do a weekly call. And we're going on almost a year later. I believe we've done at least one every week for almost the past year. And so I'm honored to be here. I've known Steve Horstman for going on 6 years now when my past relationship shit hit the fan. Since then, I've done 6 professional retreats shoulder to shoulder with Steve as a colleague of his up at his ranch here. I'm about an hour and a half away from Steve Horstman here in Colorado. I've run one with Dennis Collins out of Phoenix, Arizona. We're running our 2nd annual one of that. That's the one I said we have 1 spot left. As soon as the world opens up, I'm going to Spain. I've got 2 clients in Spain and a colleague in Spain I'm going to meet. Of course, we've got the London retreat with Dan Dor. As soon as the world opens up, I'm going there. I met guys in Sweden and Denmark and Copenhagen. I met about 5-6 men that came in from the UK, South Africa, flew in, Copenhagen. Tate's out of Copenhagen. Neil Greenspan is in Denmark. So I've been all over the world. On top of just went to Savannah, Georgia, met guys in Pennsylvania, Idaho. We're talking about doing another retreat in Oregon as well. So tons of stuff on the calendar. Some are free, just get yourself there, and some are paid led retreats, you know, all over the world, all over the country. So I've been doing this for years now, 5 years in private practice. So I'm happy to bring you guys some advanced level stuff. All right. So I promised you advanced tactics, ninja level relationship, seduction, and confidence, do's and don'ts. And again, I'm going to fire hose you today. And my goal is that you have an inspiration, a moment of inspiration, or something that you hadn't considered before. And what I want you to do is I want you to write it down. When you have something that you've not heard before, or you're thinking, holy shit, Jeff, can I really do that? I want you to write that down, right? Either that you're going to ask questions about it today, or you're going to email me, or you're going to come on to the C-Note show and ask questions on there, or you're going to post in the forums. I'm on some of the Good Guys to Great Men forums as well, and I have my own forum. So write it down when you hear something that either is maybe almost unbelievable to you, or you're thinking, how the hell am I going to do that in my life or in my relationship? Right now, she doesn't want anything to fucking do with me. I've been on the couch for 3 months. I have no idea what you're talking about here. Write that down. You can ask it today or ask it in the future. So I'm gonna promise you to understand a woman's subcommunication and what turns her on automatically. We're gonna scratch the surface of that. You know, you can't expect a PhD in 90 minutes, but I'm gonna scratch the surface. Top 3 myths and top 3 biggest pitfalls to avoid, and some specific advanced tactics you can use right now in your relationship to increase passion, desire, communication, and closeness. I will let you know when these ideas are someone else's stuff, right? I don't just like steal stuff and then pretend it's mine. Most of this is mine that I've developed myself over the past 5 years doing this professionally. And since 6 years ago when I met Steve Horstman and read, I'd say about 100 books over the next year. I've been attending men's retreats for 6 years, my own men's group, my own coaches for 6 years. So I live this along with you guys. So I'm in the fire. My feet are in the fire with you guys. And I have to bring results to my clients. Otherwise I wouldn't be in business. So being in business for 5 years says a lot to me, and I'm proud of that. Dave Martin, good to see you, buddy. I love when you guys keep your cameras on. Walters came in. Hussein is here. Yeah, Chris's paperwork is here. I love it. Richard's here. Ian's here. Ian's here from Spain. This is the man I'm going to go visit in Spain, hopefully in September of this year. We're going to go sailing in the south of Spain. Absolutely. And we have to talk about working with boys that are at-risk youth. I brought that up to you once before. I want to ask you about that again. I want to do some sailing. There's clubs that do. So by the way, let me put this out there. If you know of a club, if you're on because I'm in Colorado here, guys. If you're on one of the coasts, or if you're by water and you know of a nonprofit organization that does work with teenage boys that are at-risk youth, which that defines my son as well. That's one reason I actually went into this field over a decade ago. Let me know, because I want to get back into sailing. I did that when I was a kid with my grandfather, and I know there's organizations. I'm in Rotary Club. So if you're in a Rotary Club by the water, you know of a nonprofit that works with at-risk youth, hit me up. Let me know about that. I'm going to be doing that for into the next 20 years here, since I have more time and availability. All right, let's jump in before I lose myself a little too much. Here we go. Here's some top myths. So I'm going to throw this stuff at you, and you're going to ask me questions. So you're going to raise your hand in the participant section or punch it into the chat. Here's the top 3 myths. I'm going to copy this into the chat right now. These are from me. These are my opinions from what I see from coaching hundreds of men. I think I counted 25,000 hours in this field of psychology, child psychology, coaching, development, relationship seduction. The number one myth, I think, is she doesn't desire you any longer because she doesn't trust you. Quote unquote, she doesn't trust you. That's what I heard when, back before I had done this work, I went into couples therapy with my ex, and I did it for 6 months. And the entire time it was my fault. She couldn't trust me. I'm not sure about him. That's what I heard the whole time, right? And what I found since then, and this idea came from a man named Paul from Apex Mindset, and he beautifully summarized this in, I don't have the link for the video, but it was why couples therapy doesn't work. And I was nodding the entire time, and I thumbs up the video and put a comment like, yes, absolutely right. In that it's not the reason that our relationships come to the point that they are, I'd say 95% of the time, is not a trust issue. Now, if you cheated or you blew $30,000 behind her back or did something like that, well, sure, she's not going to trust. I mean, that's obvious. But most of us here have like the nice guy. We thought we were doing everything right, and desire gets less and less and less and less. And I'm just not feeling it for you anymore. I don't trust you. Or you go into couples therapy and they say, okay, build trust by doing more things for her. That's not what it's about. Okay, that's her reasoning. She maybe logically thinks that that's what's going on, or that's what a therapist is trained, because they're trained in pathology. And often pathology does have to deal with anxiety and trust issues from usually your childhood. You may have trust issues that are driven into your attachment style, okay? But that's not why your woman's pussy isn't getting wet for you right now. It's not because she doesn't trust you enough. Again, 95% of the time, it's because, like me, you didn't know the skills of desire. You didn't know how to keep desire alive in your relationship. So that's a huge piece of my focus in one-on-one and the calls and C-Note. We have the Sexcapade spot that Cynthia leads, which is specifically about desire. So it's not necessarily about trust, even though that's what she's saying, or the therapist is saying. Number 2 myth, you should always make a woman feel comfortable in your presence. Again, the nice guy thinks, okay, everything I want to do is to make her feel comfortable, right? And then we go from there. Well, sexual tension is not inherently comfortable, right? It's inherently uncomfortable sometimes. Standing up for yourself, defining your boundaries is inherently uncomfortable. Changing yourself as a man, turning your shoulders and leading in a different direction is going to be uncomfortable for her. So if you base your life and your decisions and your actions off of what's going to make her comfortable, you're going to friend zone yourself. You're going to depolarize your relationship. So she's not interested in having sex with you. And if a woman isn't turned on by you physically, then she won't be in love with you. A woman's in love with a man in the way that we want, sexual, intimate relationship, in love with you in that way, is we want her to want to have intimacy with us, sex with us, touch us, be close to us, smile when we touch her. She wants us to escalate and seduce her. To be in love in that way, she must be physically attracted, sexually attracted, energetically attracted to intimacy with us. Okay. So that's what's important. It's not about her always feeling comfortable. There's another scale. Athol K in his book, Married Man Sex Life Primer, which is almost a tome of a book. I'll give you one of the best things I learned out of that book. There's the teeter-totter, the scale of excitement on one side and comfort on the other side. And for a woman to be fulfilled in relationship with you, well, first of all, excitement, to release dopamine in her brain, it needs to be sexual intimacy, sexual excitement in terms of a relationship that we want, right? Like this. Now, for her to feel safe and want to be in a long-term relationship with you, she just doesn't want to have one-night stands, or maybe she doesn't feel like you want to build a life with her. Okay, those are the other side of the scale. It's comfort. And comfort, us here in modern day in 2021 right now in the nice guy era, comfort is, we have way too much comfort. All we do is fucking comfort, right? We don't have nearly enough desire, excitement, know how to seduce her. So it's quite simple. I doubt that anyone here is not bringing her enough comfort. I mean, if you totally blow her off and ignore her and you act apathetic to the relationship, if you pretend like she's dead, well, yeah, then there's no safety, there's no security, she's not going to feel comfortable on this side of the scale. But men today, we rarely have a problem with what he calls comfort. Comfort is releasing oxytocin and her feeling bonding chemicals with you, which happen after sex often, by the way. So sex needs to be happening for her to have a huge release of oxytocin, okay, and serotonin release. It's more about desire, that we don't know the skills or the mindsets, or we're just following bullshit beliefs that we think we're supposed to be, always make her feel good, and happy wife, happy life, mommy gets what mommy wants, all that shit, right? That's what I followed in the past. Piotrowski could speak to this. Jason Ensel could speak to this. Everybody on here that's been doing this work for any amount of time can speak to this. We come to this because how come me being a nice guy isn't working? How come she, fuck Chad and sales or whatever, like you hear out there, right? Well, that's the one that reminds me. When she goes and fucks Chad out of sales, she doesn't trust Chad. To my first point of the number one myth. If she wants to go and fuck some dude, she doesn't trust that guy. Okay, she doesn't trust him with her life. She doesn't trust him to build a life with him over 30 years. Trust is rarely the number one thing around getting her excited. I would say it's never the number one thing about getting her excited. She needs to feel safe, but not trust, like build a life with you. I don't trust that you're going to take out the garbage on time. I mean, all that is horseshit. So we just got to throw that out the window. All right, number 3. I got a lot to get to today, so I'm going to keep going forward here. Number 3 myth is it's all your fault. You suck. I mean, I thought it was all my fault, right? I take responsibility for my actions. I take responsibility for my behavior and my lack of knowledge, right? But no, you don't suck. It's not all your fault. You're not a piece of shit, okay? It's two people going into a relationship, and you may be fully at fault for your part of the relationship, which, by the way, you are. You are responsible fully for your part of the relationship. Everyone has wounds. Everyone has stuff. Everyone has childhood shit. Everyone has triggers. Nowadays, women are trained to shield themselves with masculine protection, with getting a career, with being her own woman. You don't need a man. Okay, all this social programming that didn't necessarily exist in the past. Now, that's not bad. I think we have the best culture that's ever existed. However, we as men are facing challenges that our fathers and grandfathers didn't have to face. They face different challenges, don't get me wrong. But in relationship today, she has shells of masculine energy and protection up around her. And one thing I teach men is the advanced skills of how to open those shells and dissolve those shells over time. The dirt, the sediment that's packed, all the trauma and masculine shells that either you've caused or her familial beliefs have caused, or religious beliefs or cultural beliefs have caused. So don't think that you just have this, you know, perfect feminine woman there and it's all your fault and you just don't know how to be Don Juan. Yes, you need to learn those skills, but no, you don't suck. It's not all your fault. Okay, that goes right along with you're going to be okay. I compliment you. I honor you for being here, doing this work, being next to the other men here, shoulder to shoulder, in the forums, in the group, doing this research, reading books. This is something that men that don't care or lazy men don't do this stuff. So you guys are already in the top 5% of men out there. It's how do I fill the holes in my own relationship skills? That's why you're here. And how do I cut away the anchors, the holes in my bucket? How do I cut away the anchors that are dragging me back? And how do I fill my fucking jet with jet fuel, the skills and the practices and the confidence and the patience and perspective to move forward? That's what you're here for. I'm gonna keep going. I love this picture. A buddy of mine and client, he's one-on-one and also in a relaunch group, posted this picture. Damn, Kyle, save some pussy for the rest of us. So when you stop making these mistakes, you're gonna be like Kyle here with this fly car and matching shirt and outfit and bowl cut. No, you're not gonna be like Kyle, but damn, Kyle gets a lot of pussy because he doesn't know, he knows not to make these mistakes. So I'm gonna punch these. These are my top 3, what I see men making of mistakes. Number 1, seeking validation through her or through the relationship. Right? There's a few keys here. If you're in the room with your woman and you're thinking, I hope she's happy, okay, or I'm worried about what she's thinking about me right now, you are seeking validation through her or through the relationship. And that's inherently disgusting for a woman, right? The feminine energy, the woman desires, through evolutionary psychology, her limbic brain, her hypergamous tendency, her hypergamous drive, if you've heard that in Red Pill or evolutionary psychology, is telling her that a high value man isn't as concerned about the relationship as she is. And the high value man isn't worried what she thinks about him. Yes, you care about her as a person. And we're going to get into this in the advanced tactics too. Yes, you care about her. Yes, of course. You know, and these are things you know. You're not saying that to her. Yes, you care about her. Yes, you care about the relationship. Yes, you care about her feelings. Yes, you want her to feel safe and comfortable and all these things. But you know that to have a polarized, hot, lasting sexual relationship, that she's not always going to feel comfortable. She's not always going to like you. She's not always going to like what you have to say or your decisions in life or your values or your boundaries. She's not going to like it when you stand up for yourself if she's being nasty or crosses a line. Okay, she's not going to, oh, yay, thank you. Let me take your pants off is not how it's going to go. So don't think that this is the magic ride the shark down the rainbow to the pot of gold, you know, magical wand. The magical wand is to get her to flow her feminine sexual energy with you, her feminine energy. And sometimes that's pissed off. And sometimes that's anxiety. And sometimes she's going to shoot shit at you because she wants to see if you're for real. She wants to see if you're going to get blown over, right? Or if you're thinking about, I wonder what she thinks about me, it's akin to you reaching out and falling onto your face. And she doesn't want a man to fall on his face or get blown over onto his back. She wants you to be solid on your feet. You know, you're affected, but you're not blown over. All right, let's go over to number 2. Second biggest mistake, not living in your own frame, not leading your own life. I mean, this has to deal with you are the protagonist of your own story. So if you're always thinking, what does she think? you're in her frame. And if you're not leading within your own self, I did a video on Thursday this week, 2 days ago, that I entitled, "For fuck's sake, lead." Okay. You can change direction. You can fix yourself. You can course correct. It's okay if you stumble and fall. That's fine. But turn your shoulders and do something. Take a step towards something. One thing that pisses a woman off almost more than anything else is when you are inactive, when you don't do anything, when you're passive. If she's working around the house, don't think she's going to really feel happy in her soul when you sit on the couch. I deserve it. I work 80 hours. It doesn't, none of that fucking matters. If she's doing things and you're sitting there, her hindbrain is going to say, what the fuck am I, why is this guy here? What is he worth? You know, why is he just sitting there? It's not the way a man thinks. A man thinks, oh yeah, he deserves it, right? And she might spout that, and her masculine practice, her masculine cultural identity might, oh yeah, he deserves. No, but her feminine brain is thinking, what the fuck? Why is this guy being so lazy and just sitting there? I'm doing all this stuff. Why isn't he doing these things? So you have to know what the subcommunication is. That's one thing I promised you guys today. So you have to be in your own frame, and you have to lead into doing something. And maybe leading is, hey, sweetie, I'm going to go watch John Wick for 2 hours on the couch. I'll catch up with you after. So you just told her what you're doing. You told her that that's who you are right now. You told her that that's the mode you're in. So you led your own energy. You don't always have to be painting the house or mowing the lawn. You can, of course, take time down, but you can tell her. So see, women always have subcommunication going on, always. There's what you say or what she directly says, okay, the overt communication. And then there's the passive or subcommunication. So she's always wondering what the subcommunication is trying to tell her. So if you just sit on the couch, she's like, what's underneath this? Oh, he's fucking lazy, right? But if you just tell her, hey, I'm gonna go watch John Wick, I'm excited to watch him auto load that shotgun. You just told her what's underneath you sitting on the couch. Oh, his guy stuff. He wants to go, like, you know, feel like he's got a big dick with John Wick or whatever. And that rhymed. I didn't mean for that to rhyme. But yeah, you tell her what you're doing. That's you leading. So a ninja level skill here is to tell her why. Tell her what's underneath that in a way where you have a sparkle in your eyes. You're not asking for her approval, and you're like, I'm excited to go do this thing, and bringing excitement into your life. She feels excitement. It's almost immaterial what it's about. Okay, I've got Mark Manson video here in a little bit. I want you to raise your hand if you guys have questions. I'm going to keep going. Number 3, not having the skills to maintain desire. I've been talking about that throughout. So that's a huge mistake, not having the skills to maintain desire. So I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to go over to some Mark Manson. And I've been flapping my pumpkin pie hole. I love pumpkin pie, so I call it my pumpkin pie hole for 34 minutes or whatever now, minus 30 seconds of Rocky. So I'm going to do what I do on my C-Note show. This is called the Staircase of Courage question. All right. This is called audience participation. This is called, if you are fucking serious about this work, if you are serious about movements in your life, you're going to punch this into the chat. I mean, it's all cool that, you know, it's okay if you want to just watch, or if you're doing other things or taking care of your kids, or, you know, if you're Chris's paperwork, that's cool. That's cool. But if you're serious about this and you're not driving, or if you're not doing heart surgery right now, I want you to punch the answer to this into the chat right now. This is going to help you move. Okay, so the 3 biggest mistakes were seeking validation through her or the relationship. Number 2, not living in your own frame, not leading. And number 3, not having the skills to maintain desire. So my question, my Staircase of Courage question of today is, which of these mistakes are you making right now? So I punched into the chat the 3 biggest mistakes. Which of these mistakes are you making right now? And if you're like, I'm not making any of those mistakes, just fucking hang up right now, because whatever, like, you don't need this, or that's bullshit, or I'm just going to call bullshit on you. And you can go, like, think you have the biggest dick in the world or whatever, and think that it's all her fault. If you think that it's all her fault, just hang up right now. It's fine. But otherwise, if you're like all the rest of us who realize we always have something to learn, we always have more skills to learn. I mean, I would say number 3 for me. Number 3, I'm taking advanced John Wineland and David Data sexual intimacy training this year. I've dedicated myself to over 10 grand already this year of training for my own self personally, my coaching, relationship coaching, sexual, advanced dark energy, integrating that into my own life and relationship. So I'm pretty damn good after this time with not seeking validation through the relationship and living in my own frame. You know, I still make mistakes, but number 3 is what I'm focusing on right now, ongoing, is continuing to absolutely up level. Rob Piotrowski was there when I we're on month 5 in one of my relaunch groups. It's called Shadow to Sexy, and it's integrating shadow work and, you know, like dark fucking erotica, and realizing how dark and sexual and erotic, I'll just use the same word again, that women's minds are, their fantasies are, right? 50 Shades of Grey was the #1 selling book of all time, written by a woman for women about bondage and sexual energy. So one thing that I'm continuing to learn, and you guys, if you talk to Dennis Collins, right? Women want some nasty shit in their life. Maybe they want a 5 out of 10 for you, or maybe they want 11 out of 10 and you don't even fucking know it. So for me, I want to know what I don't know. So I'm continuing to do masculinity work with advanced teachers. I have many, many teachers, and I continue to do so.
Yeah.
All right, yeah.
So tell the
ahead,
guys
Rob,
if they want to check out that book. And I actually mentioned the wrong book, and I put the right book in the relaunch WhatsApp. But there's a book called My Secret Garden by Nancy Friday, and it was written in, I believe, 1973. And this lady, she asked women to send her, their sexual fantasies. You know, it was all anonymous, and she wrote this book off of all these women's fantasies. And I read this book, and some of this stuff blew my fucking mind. You know, what a lot of women actually fantasized about. You know, you'd be surprised what women have going on in their minds, you know, reading this book. It'll shock the hell out of you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. My Secret Garden, you said, Rob?
Yes, My Secret Garden.
My Secret Garden. Absolutely. Oh my gosh. Once you start down this rabbit hole, I just encourage you to hold on, talk with other guys about it. Don't go ask too many questions to your woman, because she's got a lot of social conditioning and a lot of history with you where you can't necessarily, I'm going to use the word trust. You can't necessarily trust or believe at face value what might come out of her mouth. Plus, it can sound kind of weak and especially if you're not in a good place of your relationship, to go ask her a bunch of questions about this stuff. So take it to the men, do your own research, post in the forums. Like, you guys are here. You have amazing free resources, either with Great Men Move Mountains, my brand, or with Steve Horstman, Good Guys to Great Men, or Rob Piotrowski is one of my coaches within my brand as well. So you can certainly reach out to him. Okay, I'm going to honor you guys for posting into the chat. The 3 biggest mistakes: seeking validation through her or the relationship. Number 2, not living in your own frame or not leading. And number 3, not having the skills to maintain desire. So a huge piece of moving into this work is shining a light down into the abyss. And, you know, we think it's the boogeyman, we think it's Freddy Krueger in the closet, or it's a dragon going to burn us to a crisp. And it's very rarely actually something that's going to be that scary or ginormous. It's usually just a mouse in the closet scratching at the door. And our amygdala is telling us it's a tiger in the bushes, and it's not. So what I ask you to do is, because this is shining a light at the fear or the insecurity or the want that you have. So we've got number 1, number 3, guilty of all 3, not leading, kind of laying back. Number 1, all 3. Number 3, 3, not leading. Number 2, all 3 at different times. Number 3, the John Wick story. Number 2 and 3, validation, seeking validation. 3, not communicating. Yeah, I love you guys posting in the chat. Fantastic. So I'm going to share about 2 minutes of brand new Mark Manson video. If you haven't been following Mark Manson, either his articles or, Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is an amazing book. He's got another one out, Everything is Fucked. I haven't read that second one yet. And then he's got one that he self-published called Models. And if you guys don't know, Mark Manson was a dating coach. He traveled the world as a dating coach prior to writing Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. And prior to writing that, he wrote the book Models, Attracting Women Through Honesty, which I've been focusing on my Wednesday evening call, my Power 60 call, which is a man-to-man call. So Mark Manson's all over the place. He's got some cool new YouTube stuff. This one's great. I'm going to share just one of his top 5 traits for life right here. It takes about 2 minutes. Let's go ahead and get into this one. Here we go.
Period, is self-awareness. Self-awareness is like the operating system of your psychology. Without it, nothing else runs correctly. If you don't have self-awareness, you don't realize all the mistakes you make. You don't learn from your failures. You don't adjust and optimize certain skills or habits. Moving through life without self-awareness is like, it's like driving a car blindfolded and then blaming everybody else when you get in a car accident. But perhaps the biggest importance of self-awareness is it's required to develop emotional maturity. I know. Nobody wants to fucking talk about their feelings here, but you kind of have to if you want to be a well-functioning human being throughout life. Because no matter how smart you are, no matter how badass you are at cooking or coding or whatever it is you do, if you can't relate to people well, if you can't stop being a narcissistic dick face for 10 seconds, then nobody's gonna wanna work with you. Nobody's gonna wanna hang out with you. Nobody's gonna wanna date you. People tend to hate the self-awareness advice because self-awareness, it's such an ethereal thing. It's very abstract. You can't just like go take self-awareness lessons. There's not like a self-awareness coach hanging out on every street corner. Self-awareness, it's a very personal thing. It's something that you literally have to sit and do yourself. There are all sorts of cool tools that you can use to build self-awareness. You can meditate, you can journal, you can hire a therapist, you can talk to a family member and ask them, hey, in what ways am I a fuckface? And then actually listen to them and take it to heart. But mostly developing self-awareness is a constant skill and practice of simply questioning your own thoughts and feelings. Asking yourself, why am I so angry in this moment? Should I be? What could I have done better? Is that problem my fault? Is it my responsibility? By default, we tend not to ask these questions. They are mental habits that we have to build within ourselves.
There we go. I like that one. Hey, why am I such a fuckface? I like that one. Yeah. Roger asks me that all the time. Roger on the C Note Show. I'm just joking. Love you, Roger, if you're watching this. Love you, buddy. Why am I such a fuckface? Yeah, in what way am I a fuckface? Thank you, John. I appreciate it. So good. Oh my God. Okay. I've got one more video in about 20 minutes. We'll see what we can get to. I'm going to give you some more advanced tactics here upcoming. I'm going to start fire hosing again because I want to bring you guys as much advanced shit as I can. And like I said, if you missed me saying this before, write down when I say something that shocks you. Write it down. Or write down a question when Jeff says to whip his cock out in public. No, I'm not going to say that. Ask, how the hell could I do that in my relationship? What he's saying right now, how could I implement that in my relationship? I do want to have time for you guys to ask questions. So I'm going to fire hose a bit, write down a question, and then raise your hand in participant section. Right. So yeah, I put the link to that Mark Manson video into the chat there. He nicely typed out this just to summarize and all the time codes. Mark Manson did that. I didn't do that for you. I'm not that nice. Come on. Mark Manson's that nice. All right, here we go. Alabaster Girl. This is advanced level shit. If you guys haven't heard of this book, the author, his name is Zan Perian. Actually punch this into the chat right now because you guys need to check this out. Zan Perian, The Alabaster Girl. It's not on Audible, unfortunately. I have the Kindle, and as Mr. Piotrowski likes to say, well, it's cool that it's in the Kindle because then you can highlight, Perian ends with an N, Perian. You can highlight sections of Kindle and you go back to it, okay? So this is, I always curate everything that I do if you hadn't noticed, so I don't just randomly pull these things out. I pulled out a few paragraphs I wanted to mention today. And this has to deal with advanced level mindset and seduction. We're gonna get into some more and more specifics here. Cut and paste the text. Sure. Yeah, I'm going to read it out loud right now too. So I'll do both of those. A lover of women is a lover of life. So as a man, this is my words now. As a man, you must be a lover of life. You must be on fire with that furnace inside your chest, like I referred to at the beginning of the call. If you don't have that, if you're not on your mission, regardless of any women in your life, then you're not a lover of life. If you're trying to fulfill yourself or validate yourself through your woman, that's a mistake. It's not masculine consciousness. That's not presence. That's not polarity. It's not going to be polarizing to a feminine woman. Okay, back to Zan. A lover of women is a lover of life. That's just the way it is. It might be possible to love life without a love of women, but it's not possible to be a lover of women without a love of life. All right, I mean, like the request, I'll go ahead and punch this into the chat. Next paragraph. A man tends to go through 3 evolutionary stages in his life when it comes to women. In the first stage, he's nice and accommodating. He buys dinners, movies, flowers. He picks up the check. He opens the door. He tries hard to be interesting and charming. And he discovers that his experiences with women are okay, but nothing ever really seems to go anywhere. Or I'll add, after the honeymoon phase, things die and you don't know why. Right? The honeymoon phase is easy because nature is releasing incredible chemical cocktail into both of our bodies from our brains, right? From our loins, and making it real easy to do this. But after the honeymoon phase, you have to have skills. That's what I fucking teach. In the second stage, Zan says, this man is tired of those lackluster results. He learns not to be so accommodating, not to supplicate, not to put women on a pedestal, not to compliment them too much. He backs off from buying them things and being too available. He makes her split the check. He lets her open her own door. And he discovers that his experiences with women are now more interesting. It's a little better, but he's still not getting the type of experiences or the type of women he really wants. It's all kind of hit or miss. That's the second stage, according to Zan. All right, here's the third stage. I'll put this into the chat like was requested. In the third stage, guess what? None of this matters anymore. He does whatever the hell he wants. He buys women dinners, movies, flowers. He picks up the check. He opens the door and takes her by the hand. He compliments women highly. He celebrates them graciously. He moves among them easily. He kisses their cheek whenever they're around. Supplication is no longer an issue. In fact, he never thinks about it again. He never thinks about supplicating himself again. He never thinks about being less than her again. He never worries what she thinks of him again. The results? Women are in his arms, women in his bed, and women in his life. This is a quote from Kierkegaard that I really love. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. I'm going to come back here for a second. In today's era, right, we have a lot of freedoms. We have so much freedom and choice that we have a fuck ton of anxiety. And the anxiety is because we don't know how to frame our life in chapters and stages. That's content for another video, another time, of how to do that as a man for your own self. But we have all this freedom. We have all this choice. And one thing that does offer is freedom and choice for our woman. Now, the masculine energy within us, as David Data would say, is always seeking freedom. So get this. She's been trained to have a masculine shell in today's world. You don't need a man, go get a career. You know, you can have it all, girl, that all masculine, all the goal-oriented stuff, right? So masculine seeks freedom, while her feminine heart is wanting love and connection and flow and energy, and not to have tasks to do and not to think logically, but she's been trained to have this masculine shell. So that causes so much stress and tension and physical illness in her body. How many women have we known that stress and lack of career success and parenting, they get physical illnesses? And what we need to do is learn how to open their masculine shell and praise and bloom their feminine heart, their feminine energy. Okay, again, that's what I teach. And so back to Kierkegaard here. Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom. And if we don't have any boundaries in our relationship, if we don't lead our woman, she has unbounded freedom. That's what a man wants. That's what the masculine wants, right? The feminine wants to be in relationship with a man who's going to lead them to experiences and adventures. So think about this. Relationship is inherently a container. Okay, relationship is not the same as freedom. In fact, that's why a lot of men that seek so much freedom don't want to be tied down ball and chain in a relationship. Side note, a woman needs to be taught or learn how to give a man more freedom through relationship. And now that's another topic for another time. So ask me about that. That's a whole other thing. But if you think about it, the feminine wants relationship. Relationship is inherently a container. So if she feels unbounded freedom, if you don't have boundaries, if you're not leading, if you're expecting her to lead, it causes more and more anxiety and more her and her masculine, and that's going the wrong direction. So some tenets within the red pill community that I love. I heard this from Ryan Stone, RIAN. He's got a phenomenal YouTube channel. I actually reference some of his stuff. His sidebar series, the No More Mr. Nice Guy sidebar series by Ryan Stone. I'm going to type it into the chat to honor him. Ryan Stone. I have no affiliation. He's just got awesome stuff. His sidebar series of No More Mr. Nice Guy is some homework that I gave to our advanced relaunch group as well. And he says the only things you can control, and I call these the carrots. There's the carrot and the stick, right? And we don't ever offer the stick any longer in our society, which I agree with, but doesn't matter anyway. It's not acceptable. You know, my dad used the belt on me when I was a kid. No, you can't even talk about belting your kid now, you know. My son's almost 17. I know how that goes. I actually belted him once when he was 10 years old. And he brought that up at a teacher conference like 2 years later. Yeah, the time that you belted me, Dad. And the teacher like froze. Anyway, that's another story. That's another story. My son loves to test. I don't know about your kids. My son loves to test. So here we go. Back on track, Jeff. The only three things you can control are your attention, you giving her your attention. That doesn't mean she has to like it. She doesn't have to like what's coming out of your mouth or like the way you're acting, right? You're not trying to piss her off. You're not trying to make her upset, but maybe that's a side effect of what you're doing. Okay, so you can control your attention. That's how much you're speaking with her, how much you're looking at her, how much you're being around her, your energy in your body when you're around her. What are in your thoughts? You know, are you holding high regard for her, right? And then your affection. So it rolls over into how much are you engaging and starting conversation? What words are you using? Are you praising her in different ways? These are all skills that, you know, are deeper content for another time. And your commitment. Your commitment is also, let me come back here. Your commitment is also, are you committed to sitting in front of Netflix every night for 2 hours next to her? Have you somehow tacitly committed yourself to that? Well, you can pull that commitment. That's a fucking bad idea, by the way. I made that mistake in the past. My past relationship is just zombie letting something else lead the energy in your life, not engage with your woman is a fucking bad idea. So I wouldn't suggest having any automatic TV time with your woman. I think that's a horrible idea. Set up a movie date and watch a movie as a date. You're like, cool, but automatic TV time is a fucking terrible idea for you and for the relationship for so many reasons, right? So only three things you can control are your attention, your affection, and your commitment. All right, I'm shooting for about 5 more minutes of kind of me talking here, and then I want to open it up. So you are writing things down. You're going to ask me questions. My 3 phases of coaching, by the way, I can see Brian right now. Can I get a thumbs up? You can see the screen I'm sharing, Brian. He's awesome. Thank you, sir. So my 3 phases of coaching, I call stop, grow, ask. Stop, grow, ask. I'll come back here. You have to stop fucking up. You have to stop asking so many questions. You have to stop being a hummingbird, as Horseman would say. You have to stop being in the drama triangle. You have to stop being a crab in the bucket or allowing other people to grab you down into the bucket. Those are all different topics you probably heard. You have to stop fucking up, and you have to grow your skills and depth as a man. Okay? None of that has anything to do with her yet. It's less to do with her. The stop phase is less interaction with her generally, less questions, right? So stop fucking up, stop spending so much time with her usually, stop asking her to validate you, stop thinking that mommy's gonna make me okay and that if I just get more sex, everything will be okay. That's not what's wrong, okay? Grow your skills and your understanding and your depth as a man. I say if you are not dedicated to a year in this journey, that it's just intellectual masturbation and you're fucking bullshitting yourself. If you want to go buy some BS product online that's going to promise you, get your ex back in 7 days or whatever horse shit all that stuff is. You might trick her into thinking, you know, because she fell in love with you before. She wants to be with you and in some place within her heart. She would have already left, and depending on the circumstances, but if she's challenging you, if she's pissed at you, if she's still engaging with you in any capacity, she wants you to succeed. Okay, so if you think that's going to happen in anything less than a year, you're fucking bullshitting yourself. So that's just something that I'm going to be straight up about. So the grow phase, it's going to continue to go, I mean, forever, but you got to think, to change what you've been doing for 30, 40, 50, 60 years, it's not going to take 7 days. So I just tell guys straight up, a year is what you need to consider. And then the ask phase, the third phase, is advanced stuff, advanced work. Generally, you're not asking for really anything for at least 3 to 6 months. And asking means, how do you go to her? And asking also is new boundaries, asking for her to step towards you, asking for her to come into, you know, hey, let's look at the stars together. Let's have date night this weekend. You're here probably because your relationship is not in a good spot. So you're not going to start asking her for anything for 3 to 6 months from the beginning of this work, right? That's what I talk with my private clients about. So it's stop, grow, ask are the 3 phases of coaching. Another thing from Rhinestone, again, I'm fire hosing you guys, so you're writing down questions, right? Rhinestone says, be attractive, don't be unattractive. Those are 2 different things. That's not the same thing. Be attractive is do attractive things. Go to the gym, stop asking so many fucking questions. Stop asking her to pat you on the head. Don't ask her for, and don't be unattractive is don't ask too many questions, right? So be attractive is, are you wearing baggy ass sweatpants and stuff all the time? That's not attractive. Have you bought clothes that are better fitting? You've been going to the gym for a few months. Those are attractive things, right? So be attractive, don't be unattractive. And I break this down, and I would suggest you write this in your journal once a week at least. There are 3 questions that you're going to ask yourself. What can I control? I love that Piotrowski talks about this. He says there's 3 buckets: what you can control, what you cannot control, and what you can influence. The 3 buckets. So what can I control? And I'll come back here. The way I say that is also like this. There's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. Those are 3 entities. There's you, there's her, and there's the relationship. Okay. You can influence certain things, but you don't control anything about her decisions or her behavior. Right. Okay. So that's obviously a topic for another time. What can I control? Where do I want to go? If you don't know where you want to go, that is your purpose. You got to figure that out. If you don't know where you want to go, how the hell is she going to follow you? If you're lost in the woods, why the hell should she trust you if you're lost in the woods? And where am I on the map of this journey? And that's what I do for men. So in my free one-on-one consults, the first call is I draw, metaphorically, draw a map of where you are in this journey. I've worked with hundreds of men, years and years, doing this full time for a long time. I mean, I love doing this work. So I work over 80 hours a week with everything that I do. I can pretty quickly within, 1 phone call, give you a map of where you are. Now that it still might take a year for you to work on your own shit. It might take you 6 months before you have, you're asking your woman anything specific, but I can draw that out for you. Some men come to me, they're at the starting line. Some men come to me, they're, 4 months in, basically. They've been reading books, you're in another forum. You can have another coach and work with me. You can be in another class and be in a relaunch group. You can be in the round table and take a class from us. I mean, Steve Horstman and I've directly talked about these things. We are always in communication. I do monthly calls with Horstman, all the other coaches. I live near Steve, like I'm going to be seeing him in Arizona. So don't think this is all hush hush. We're all open about this stuff. Take a class over there. Come do coaching with me. Come do relaunch with me. Be in my forum. Be in other guys' forums. That's all good shit. Come to the retreat with me and Dennis Collins in Phoenix, Arizona, or come out to Oregon or Pennsylvania, or I'm going to be in Charlotte, North Carolina later this year as well. I'm going to go to Ohio later this year as well. I'm doing all these things. So there's lots of opportunity to meet up with me or work with me. Okay, this picture, I'm just going to show you real fast. I could talk for an hour and a half just on this picture. This is from an artist, Allison Crow. I want to give her a nod. I turn men from the left stick figure. The stick figure on the left is just saying, whoa. It might as well say, I don't know what the fuck is happening. The stick figure on the left. Or I have no idea where I want to go. Or if Jeff were to ask me, how am I leading my relationship right now? I have no idea. I turn men from that to the stick figure on the right. This man who has this huge thought bubble of thoughts and skills and emotions and knows what those emotions feel like in his body. And he's got a skill set of what to say, when to say it, why he's saying it, and how to say it. Whether it's about despair, all these colors, right? Despair or money or investing or the shit that we hit in our life or what friends I want to have or what sex that I want to have and how do I have it, how to escalate, how to do foreplay now, even though she hates my fucking guts right now. How do I escalate? What kind of future do I want to have? So if you don't know how to answer those questions, it feels like you're a fish trying to climb a tree. So this Albert Einstein, everybody's a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will live its whole life believing that it's stupid. I love that because if you just, so dude, 6 years ago, I didn't even know there was a curtain, much less a whole truckload of shit behind the curtain. I was just focused over here. You know, you get your schooling, you get a job, you start a life, you get married, you have kids, and then happily ever after, I guess. I don't know. You have some sex and you have barbecues on 4th of July, I guess, and then you retire, I guess. I don't know. And then I was forced to turn and the curtain was pulled back and it was I didn't even know what the fuck was happening. I felt like I was in free fall. I didn't know which way to turn. And so that's why I found other men. I found a coach. I found this work. I found the books that you guys know about to hone this and know what the hell is going on. Because I felt like I was just in free fall off of a cliff and I was waiting for my face to smash into the ground. And, you know, I don't want you to feel that way anymore. That's why I needed this. That's why I do this. I believe in business and heart, right? I got to pay my bills too. I'm a businessman too. And I'm going to give you free shit. And I'm going to give you my heart right now. And I'm going to give you as much value as I can right now. And some men are going to want to hire me to be in my group coaching or one-on-one coaching. And some men are going to use all the free resources and ask me questions and consult with me. And I'm not going to ask them for anything, right? So it's heart and business is what I believe in. And that's what I'm giving to you. That's why I'm going to give you some links here in a few minutes, and then we'll open up for questions. Okay, I do not have time to dig through all of these advanced tactics. So because that other gentleman asked for this, for me to copy and paste these into the chat, I'll do that. Otherwise, you're going to write these down. I'm going to share. I'm just going to go ahead and punch some of these into the chat right now. I'm going to share. I didn't time this particular clip, but there's a dude, Dan Bacon, on YouTube that's got a bunch of great stuff. He has a super successful YouTube channel. He sells digital products. He doesn't do coaching like I do. He doesn't have a community like I do. He sells digital products. I'm not affiliated with him at all. I just really like his stuff and I want to honor him. So I'm going to share, actually it's only 41 seconds. I did write it down. So I'm going to share this of some perspective on you and relationship before I machine gun some advanced tactics at you here, because this is what I teach guys over an entire year. I'm not, going to promise that you can understand every one of these in 5 minutes. It's just impossible. So I'm going to shoot them at you so that you can, well, I was about to say feel impressed, but what I mean is be impressed by what I say, that, oh my God, I need to write that down, or I've never heard of that before. So I'm going to go ahead and share 41 seconds of a Dan Bacon clip right now. Here we go.
You can have a dynamic where you're trying to impress her all the time and hopefully get her to love you as much as you want to be loved. Or you can have a relationship experience where she wants to impress you, she wants to maintain your interest, and she appreciates the fact that you love her and want to be with her. She feels lucky that you have chosen her. So how can you get a pretty girl that you're dating to chase you, really want to be with you, and hope that she gets to be your girlfriend? Number one, let her feel like she is getting to be with you rather than you are getting to be with her. In most cases, if a guy gets to the point where he has sex with a pretty woman that he finds really attractive, then he will immediately begin trying to secure an exclusive boyfriend-girlfriend relationship with her. So she will be in the position where she gets to say yes or no to an exclusive relationship, and he needs to ensure that he impresses her enough to the point where she hopefully says yes.
Okay. So point being, right, we have to have the frame of she gets to be with me. I want her along the journey with me. See how I shrug my shoulders too, by the way? It should just be obvious. This isn't like, yeah, I'm the fucking, yeah, bitch, you get to be. It's not anything like that. It's, of course, like, why wouldn't I think about she gets to be with me? Why wouldn't I think in terms of, do I like her? Do I like what she's adding to my life? Do I like the way that she's behaving toward me and her femininity? It's not, oh my God, am I good enough for her? And maybe this is maybe just lip service to you, but I want this to be impressed upon you. Every moment that you think, oh, am I good enough for her? The fucking ship is sinking. Okay. Now bring that shit to the men. I get it. I've been there, man. I've been there. So bring that to the men. Go to your journal, go for a walk, hit the gym, listen to some music. That's normal. I'm not saying that you should never think that. Thoughts go through our head. But every moment you stew, every moment you swim or drown in, oh, am I not good enough for her? Okay. The answer is probably fucking no then. And you need to come to this and do your work and learn some more skills and hit the gym. If that's really what's going on, or if it's just your mindset because you just don't know any better, then I'm here to wake you up to that fact that that's not what a woman wants. That doesn't get her pussy wet. That doesn't make her feel like she's got her best choice in life. She's going to feel disgusted by that. Okay. Now I had to learn this too. So I'm talking to myself here. All right, here we go. I'm over at the time that I wanted. So as far as talking, I want to open this up. So number one, advanced tactics. A woman's primal wants and desires are not the same as her social programming. Okay, so what she tells you she wants is often her social programming. That's not the same as what she actually wants. Now, I'm not, okay. So just take this at face value for now. I don't have time to explain everything. I heard this yesterday from the horse's mouth, meaning Cynthia was working with a wife of one of my clients. She works with men and women, Cynthia does, and she also works with me in groups and with couples. And Cynthia said, this woman who's been really difficult for her man told Cynthia, I want him to be able to seduce me through all of that shit, through all of my masculine shells, through all of my bitchiness, through all of my roadblocks that I'm throwing up. I want my man to seduce me through that shit. Okay, again, these are whole topics. Another one, advanced. You care about your spouse as a person. So I'm speaking directly to you as a man now. You care about your spouse as a person, but you don't, quote, believe logically a word she says at face value. Okay, I got to come back to this one. A woman you're in sexual relationship with, right? You honor her as a person, you care about her as a person, but you do not logically, okay, like A plus B equals C, you do not logically believe a word she says at face value. And she's going to tell you what her social conditioning has taught her to say. She wants you to seduce her through the shit. Now, that doesn't mean that you violate her. That doesn't mean, you become aggressive. You're always calm. You're always grounded. But the fucking story is going to change tomorrow anyway, guys. Like, this. And you don't have to point it out like, oh, I don't believe you. It's not like that. You have to deal with this. She's a woman. She's a woman in sexual relationship with you. I'm not talking about women in career or your job. Okay, they're in their masculine at that point. They're not your sexual partner. I'm talking about your feminine sexual partner. This is too much to get into. I could talk a whole bunch about that, but you cannot believe what she says at face value. She's not going to have the same story about that thing tomorrow. She's going to change her mind based off of her emotions. So just know this up front, and that's okay. It's not a bad thing. It's called she's a feminine woman. That's what you want. So stop asking her to be more masculine and you said something different yesterday. You're just fucking naive when you say that to your woman. You're just ramming her into masculine shells. So stop it. Another one, do not respond directly to her statements, accusations, or insinuations. Frame it in your way. You are the protagonist of your story. Okay, that's almost like a politician might answer something, you know? Well, that's a whole other topic. All right, here's some more. I'll punch these into the chat. Oh, we're gonna get, and these things are mine. I would, let me go up and take a look just to make sure. I mean, this one is from 25,000 hours of research. I heard that yesterday from the horse's mouth. That's 10 years of experience. That's 5 years of doing this. Okay, that's all my stuff. Okay, more statements, less questions. We've all heard that one. And your statement doesn't need to have anything to do with her last comment exactly. That's a whole class. All right, here's a really good one that I teach. The feminine grows through praise. All right, I don't know if you've heard that or not, but the feminine grows through praise and the masculine grows through challenge. Now, there's times to challenge your woman, and that's super advanced. I'll save that for another time. Ask me a question about that another time. But the feminine grows through praise. Well, if our woman has a masculine shell on top of her feminine heart, how do we get the praise through? Sometimes, you could say like, oh, I love how your hair smells today. And it just falls on deaf ears, or she scoffs, or she's like, I don't want to, what are you talking about? I'm making dinner. Why you? And she thinks that you're trying to escalate to sex or something. And that's a different topic. But here's this ninja level shit. So she's got a masculine shell on the outside. Praise a goal that she's gone after, because goals are masculine. So if you praise a goal or something that's more masculine, like an accomplishment, praise the goal, and that will help open her masculine shell. And then often she shows a little bit of femininity for you. And then you praise the feminine behavior that she showed you. So I call this a 1-2 punch of praising. So you could say, I'm so proud of you getting that project done at work. She told you about a project at work. She finished it today. She just did the presentation at work. It's like, I'm so proud of you for finishing that project at work. And she goes, oh, thanks. And she does this little feminine thing, or she kind of skips across the room, or she's, oh yeah, it feels so good to be, she moves a lot. It feels so good to be done with that. That's feminine. So what you just did is you praised the accomplishment. That's a masculine thing. It opened her masculine shell, and now you praise the feminine behavior that I love it when you skip around like that. It's so endearing, or it's sexy the way your hair flows around when you jump around the kitchen like that. I love that about you. So it's a 1-2. I'm so proud of you for finishing that goal. Give it 10, 20 seconds. Let her, hopefully, the goal is to notice any kind of feminine action that she does. Even if it's like, oh, thank you. And she just kind of moves a little feminine, or her voice goes a little feminine. And I love the way your voice, that little feminine voice that you have, or I love the way you just kind of shrug it off, and the way you act like it wasn't such a big deal, and the way you did that. The way you did that, right? I love the way you did that thing that you just did. That's praising the feminine, right? So we have to get through the masculine shell. That's mine. I think it's gangbusters. I should do a whole course on that. All right, let me come back here. You need to be doing tons of little actions that don't escalate to intercourse. If you don't know what that means, then you got to fucking figure some stuff out. You got to ask. Whispering erotically into her left ear. The left side of her body is connected to her right hemisphere. The right hemisphere controls emotions and abstract thoughts. Okay. So when you whisper into her left ear, she's more likely to take it emotionally and abstract, and it's more likely to bypass any kind of logical cultural programming. That I got from a man, Alan Roger Curry is his name. So that's pretty awesome. Alan Roger Curry has some erotica, advanced dark energy shit. That's a topic for another time. And here's the last one, and I'll give you some links here in a second. I think I may have ran myself out of too much time to answer questions. I'll stay a little bit longer. I do actually have another call in 45 minutes, so I can't stay too long. Magic phrase. Here's mine. I've been thinking about something that's important. Okay, so a lot of these, let me come back here first real quick. A lot of these are positive things you can do. This one is when you've been doing your men's work for 3 to 6 months and you're ready within your own self as a man, you've stopped fucking up, you've grown your strength, and you've been doing all these skills for your own self, and now you're ready to stand up for a boundary, okay? Or now you're ready to start at the ask phase, the third phase of my coaching. So this is a one-liner that you can use. I've been thinking about something that's important to me, right? That's the warm-up that gets her to realize you're about to say something that's important to you. Hey, pay attention. You're not surprising her. Don't do this when the kids are around, right? I've been thinking about something that's important to me. I'm not okay with blank. I'm not okay with you staying out till 3 a.m. with your girlfriends. I'm not okay with you calling me a fuck face, even though Mark Manson said to do that. I'm not okay with you storming out the room and slamming the door. Whatever the one top thing. And do not dare to do this right out of the chute. You better have been doing your men's work for like 6 months, okay? But this is a magic phrase at that point. I've been thinking about something that's important to me. I'm not okay with blank. And then shut the fuck up. You, shut the fuck up. I go like this. And when I teach a class or when I do my C-Note show, so I've been thinking about something that's important to me. I'm not okay that you stay out with your girlfriends until 2 a.m. And then shut up. Right? Don't explain, don't defend, don't rationalize, don't shame her that she's a bad person. Don't tell her she should know better than that. Don't say that her girlfriends are a bad influence. Don't tell her, you know, what about us or anything. It's, I'm not okay with blank. Straight up, to the point, direct what it is, and then shut up. Right? What's going to happen after that? She's not going to be happy about that because you're standing up for a boundary. But that's the beginnings of directly knowing where your boundary is, how to deliver it, and then shutting up. You notice that was basically 2 sentences. I've been thinking about something that's important to me. I'm not okay with blank, and then shut up. Don't explain. Okay. I just fire hose. I think maybe I did too much, but that's okay. I wanted to shoot you guys as much value as I could today. I'll go over a couple minutes, but let me give you the links and I want you to ask me questions. So raise your hand, the participants, if you have a question about this. If you want to actually, it would be great if you jumped on the C-Note show and ask a question, or you post your question in my private Facebook forum, the Great Men Move Mountains Facebook forum. That would be phenomenal. I feel a little bit bad, actually. I kind of ran longer than I wanted as far as giving you guys time. So there's a couple of links. My daily show is the first link. It's 11 a.m. Mountain Time, the C-Note show. Then small group coaching, you can check out my stuff there. And here's free resources. Within this membership, I put brand new today. I've never published this before. I just put that in the chat. Free resources by Jeff, Great Men Move Mountains. Advanced breath awareness and presence practices. And there's also past recordings of the C-Note show there. So if you go to greatmenmovemountains.com/VIP, you punch in your info and you get free access to our membership area. And I've got all those recordings for free, including the breath practices, the awareness, breath, and presence practices, which I recorded, okay? If you have questions about that, let me know, but that's advanced stuff. If you don't know, if you're not doing any of that kind of thing, you need to start incorporating those things. We got 1 spot left on this retreat in March. I'm doing that with Dennis Collins, advanced pistol defense, and also advanced how to keep your shit together, how to make her feel safe in a relationship, not just because you know how to use a gun, but because you know how to keep your anger in check. You know how to seduce her. You know what the next step is on the map of your relationship. And here's Good Guys to Great Men one-on-one coaching if you want to apply to, you know, if you want to request a specific coach, or you want to talk to Dan Dorr, Steve Horseman, or there's, you know, a bunch of different coaches if you want to go that route instead of contact me directly. So that's Steve Horseman's website, of course, goodguys2greatmen.com to get one-on-one coaching help. All right, I ran us not much on time. No one's got their hand up right now. So let me just ask Piotrowski to come on first. I just shot a whole bunch of shit, Rob. I love how Rob gives me some just frank, really to the point focus. Sometimes I fucking blab for 10 minutes and Rob has a one-liner he can just drop. So how did that hit you, Rob? Out of all of that, what do you think is kind of the number one or two things for guys that are watching right now? What do you think?
Oh, definitely leading. That's the huge one. Definitely leading, staying in your frame, is huge. And I'll even touch on something you talked about earlier. And I know I've talked about it in the past is, when you talked about her, when she drops that line, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." Believe that she does love you, man. She does. And all her taking jabs at you, like to say, a shotgun to the heart, she's cheering you on. She's your biggest cheerleader. She wants to fall in love with you again. She wants you to give her that chance to fall in love with you again. So believe it when she says, "I love you, but I'm not in love with you." She wants that opportunity to fall in love again.
Yeah, I agree. And I have to tell you guys, another huge key is when a woman doesn't want you sexually, when the spark has gone completely out, when she doesn't even want you to kiss her, when she doesn't want to hold your hand, when she doesn't even want to hug you, you've got to take a step back and you have to realize that past relationship is dead. Okay. That doesn't mean you have to get divorced, but I just want you to know that version of the relationship, that version of marriage or long-term relationship is dead. And the reason is when she's been thinking and been on that path toward the death of the physical intimacy for, the 2-year time bomb, as we hear. She's been on that path down to 0 for about 2 years. Okay. So you have got to learn that relationship is dead and you must take a step back. You're going to grieve that loss. You're going to come and talk to the men. You're going to learn this work. You're going to do the free stuff, or you're going to hire a coach, or you're going to, whatever it is you're going to do with your resources. But you have got to learn new skills. You've got to turn your shoulders and be prepared to be with potentially a different woman at some point. Because if that attraction switch has been switched off by the current woman in your life, you cannot do anything directly to turn her on again. That's called negotiating desire. Red pill evolutionary psychology. You cannot negotiate desire, or you cannot do it for her to get her to desire you again. That's not how her desire works. It's not how her limbic brain works. So you must be emotionally, literally, metaphorically, skill-wise, behaviorally prepared to have the potential of being with another woman, for your woman to have the desire switch flip back on. We see this all the time. I had three wives last month out of our small groups turn around and invite him back into her bed, or into version 2.0 of the marriage, or to sex again. I have guys all the time ask me, is this for real? He was ready to move on, okay, skill-wise, emotionally, spiritually, and then she gives him a blowjob the next weekend. He's like, what the fuck just happened? What the fuck? Right? So, and yeah, Piotrowski, what do you want to say about that?
I did move on and ended up back. I said I did move on and ended up back in my marriage.
Say more about that. Go ahead.
Yeah. So my story was, I got all the same line. "I don't love you. Can't trust you. You're manipulating, controlling." And so I just did the exact same thing. I backed off and started doing the work, got a coach, and I just started living my life. And eventually I got to a point where she just wasn't fitting there anymore, and she wasn't budging off her "I hate you" path. So I decided to end it and move on. And maybe 3 weeks after I had ended it and moved on, she was sitting at my table crying and wanting to get back together. No, now we're back together and have another kid.
Yeah, and well, now you've been using the skills all along. You've changed your own self, right?
Yeah, I would definitely agree. It's life-changing going through this to actually do the work. Not only does it make you a better partner, but it's also a friend and a person. And this is, I always felt this huge gaping hole in my heart that I could never quite fill. And that was because I didn't love myself. I wasn't, I didn't know enough about myself to even how could I even care or love for somebody else until I figured out who I was and what I wanted to be.
That's exactly right. Yeah. If you don't know what path you're on, if you don't know how to draw your own map of where you're going, then we are lost as a man. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. So yeah, and I have men that have moved on from relationship, and they're spinning plates. They're seeing multiple women. They're honoring them. They're telling them exactly what they want, and they're having phenomenal, amazing sex, and they have never had that in their entire life. I have men who, let's see if I can. So one, she had a certain type of affair, and they're back in a relationship, and he's worked through what he calls Slimer. There's the thought of the other man and things like that. He and I worked together for about 8 months. They're in the best phase of relationship they've ever been in. They have 3 kids. He's got his own work to do, but this is another challenge that guys can get through. Or back together, and she's wondering, where did this come from? Where did this guy come from? And at first she thought, what is this men's work stuff? Are you all wearing tin hats and doing circle jerks? And is this a fucking cult, or what the hell is this? Because she's nervous. She doesn't know what's happening. You're changing, you're trying different stuff. That's inherently uncomfortable for her. I say that's usually 30 to 60 days in. The woman almost always, I guarantee it, 30 to 60 days in, she's going to give you shit about what you're doing because it's confusing to her. Any kind of change fires our amygdala. We just worry. Her boogeyman, her shit's coming out. And part of that is, oh my God, maybe he's going to be a better man for a different woman. That's underneath there too. There's so much, again, subcommunication under what you're doing. She's always wondering what's under the presenting behavior. Okay. Just always remember that there's a presenting behavior, and she's always wondering what the message is underneath that. And so some advanced things are, you can tell her, or you can not tell her, depending on how much anxiety or good pressure, as Horseman says, you're trying to create, or you're wanting to be there. This can all be managed, gentlemen. This is not accident. This is not just, throwing spaghetti at the wall, closing your eyes and throwing darts at the board. You can learn these skills. This is what I teach. There's men's work, and then there's advanced relationship and seduction work. And that's what I continue to focus on. The men's work into how do I have the amazing dating life or marriage or long-term relationship. I dated 10 women between my ex and my now fiance, and everything, everything sexually you can imagine with those women. And now with my fiance, continual level of sexuality. The power dynamic is where she wants me, just like Dan Bacon was talking about. She wants to be in a relationship with me. That doesn't mean she's always comfortable about it. That doesn't mean she always is in comfort and always feels safe. Remember, okay, there's a scale. If you're always comfortable, you don't have enough desire and excitement. Okay, so you've got to play with emotional range. And I'm getting off on a tangent here because that's all advanced level shit. So yeah, Rob, sum it up for me, buddy. Come on in and put a fucking bow on this for me, and we'll say goodbye to our gentleman for today.
Yeah, I'll just touch on a little bit from my past, and I talked about it in the past also with other groups. There's one gal that we dated on and off, I don't know how many times as teenagers, and then when we got older into our 30s, it was on and off again. But the constant was every time she dumped me, and it was always her dumping me. A few months later, I'd be back to being me again, and going on with my life, and she came chasing back after me. It was a constant. And I've seen this with my sisters, both my sisters. Same thing, dumped the guy, and then 6 months later, he kind of went off on his own and started doing his own thing, and they chased back after him. So they want to see you being you. They want to see you going out in that life and being you, and not being this chasing, needy, codependent, person that like a lot of us have grown up to be. They want you to be that man in the world. And once they start seeing that, they start showing interest again. And, like myself back in the day, I didn't know the difference. So I'd fall back into that same old habit once I was back together. Now I get it. I've come to understand women, and I can look back now and go, now I fucking get it. Back then I was going, what the fuck is wrong with women? But now I understand it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And nothing is wrong, and Rob agrees with me. Nothing is wrong with women.
No.
They're just not men. They don't think the way you do. Stop projecting the way you think onto them. Stop it. Wake up.
Exactly.
Stop asking for them to be easier, as David Data says. Ask for yourself to be better to learn these skills. All right, guys, I'd love to see you on the show. Rob Piotrowski's on the show. He's within our relaunch groups as well. We've got tons of free stuff. Go to greatmenmovemountains.com. Reach out to me. I hope to see you somewhere soon, gentlemen. Have a great rest of your Saturday or Sunday around the world.
Get more affection, love, and sex in your marriage. Get less paralyzing fear and rejection. Never miss an episode. Watch anytime, anywhere, 3 a.m. on the toilet. Get full episodes. GreatMenMoveMountains.com/VIP. The C Note Show. Join us live Monday to Friday Zoom call, men only. GreatMenMoveMountains.com/C Note. The C Note Show. Free daily call.